guys, and a very warm welcome to my very first video. Thank you so much for being here. If you do find this useful and you liked the video, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate that. And now let's dive into one of my favorite subjects. Okay, so starting my channel, I knew that, one of the first major topics I wanted to dive into was Netflix. I find the story completely fascinating as it changed over the years and as we see the company today. I just want to mention that this will not be a traditional documentary type of video. It's just going to be more of a commentary on this topic I find quite important. And the topic seems to ignite really different opinions in a lot of different groups of people. So Netflix was founded in 1997 by Reed Hastings and by Mark Randolph in Scotts Valley, California. As you may know, initially they sold and rented DVDs by mail, but the sales were eliminated within a year just to focus exclusively on the DVD rental business. 10 years later, by 2007, Netflix introduced streaming media and video content on demand. It's more of the way we see the company today, so on-demand services. Of course, entering the on-demand streaming media market back then was not only way easier, less competitors, but for a company that for a good number of years had a groundbreaking, innovative idea, such as Netflix, really made them stand out in the market. And their success story, I would say, is the type of success story that's really meant to be, and you could see it coming. By 2017 to 2018, we were actually introduced to the concept of binge watching. I would say that this concept was quite promoted across media platforms. When researching, I actually found a pretty interesting article on Pop Crush regarding the most binge-worthy shows on Netflix at the time to watch. They included Breaking Bad, Orange is the New Black, and Stranger Things. As of the new year, Netflix boasted 117 million viewers worldwide and nearly 55 million just in the United States alone. This was all before the pandemic, so it's quite extraordinary what they achieved. Now, recently, we have been, I would say, introduced to a more darker side of Netflix. The reason for it is simply because in the pandemic, when the pandemic hit in 2020, we were all guilty of a little, or in some cases more than little, binge watching of our own. Netflix truly became a global machine. Now, another article that I looked at actually examined the relationships between binge watching and a number of diseases. They've actually proven that the brain forms an addiction when you binge watch Netflix. And a quote from the article states that Netflix, all too convenient streaming service, lends itself perfectly to our society's obsession with instant gratification, often releasing every episode of a television series season at once, allowing them to be gobbled up by Netflix users hungry for content. A really good example for this, I would say, is Emily in Paris. I remember when that came out, and the buzz generated around it for a couple of months prior. It was just really hard, really hard to not binge watch it. I remember watching 5 to 6 episodes at once and having a huge headache after. I believe I'm not the only one, as I know many people have watched this show and have been waiting for it. If you have experienced anxiety in any shape or form, you know that really you can never tell when it will come back. And Unfortunately, binge watching is really highly linked to increased stress and anxiety levels. But, after all of this, I was wondering, how come? How did this happen? Why are we not just taking Netflix as we used to do with, let's say, a theater play or cinema, and just going, really enjoying ourselves, really making the most out of the experience, but then coming home and actually the next day thinking or doing something else? And really, there is only one conclusion. I truly believe, after reading all this research, that Netflix really is associated with our emotions, our nostalgia, and perhaps some of the shows we are watching, some of the movies we are watching and we have been watching for years, bring back really good memories from the past. It can bring us closer to a time in our life that we really felt happy. It can bring us closer to the world when we don't have our friends or family nearby. And really, Netflix is a company that really benefited from this pandemic. In a strange way, like I mentioned before, a lot of different habits that we picked up, we quickly realized that they are bad. We stopped doing them, or we are trying to stop doing them. But this is the one that really seems to stick with a lot of us. And I just found it really fascinating, really, really interesting from a psychological point of view. It seems to have become really the one habit that keeps getting worse and worse. We're sitting on a couch eating and, basically opening Netflix every day and trying to find new things to watch. Really, it's just really hard to say no to Netflix. I am not gonna lie. I'm not able to say no either. The nostalgia and good memories it brings up makes us want to get more and more lost in it, more and more involved in it. And really, it's not going away anytime soon, nor should it. This is not a video that's really against Netflix. But I really found that with any other companies that I researched, such as Amazon, companies that have really grown through the pandemic, people have soon realized, perhaps their shopping habits were really getting out of control and they stopped doing that. But Netflix really touches the human heart in a special way, and I think that's why they are growing really fast, and they will not stop growing anytime soon. Well, thank you so much for listening to my little rant at times, but certainly my opinion, it should not be taken as a given, but according to my research, this is what I found. I hope you found it useful and you liked the video, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.